Have you ever noticed that as we age, the truth about human relationships becomes clearer? Many people believe that family will always be there, that children will repay their parents for their care, and that old age will be a time of recognition and respect. But Schopenhauer warned us, not everything is as we imagine. The reality is that after 60, many people feel lonelier than ever. Friendships disintegrate among the children of their lives, and society becomes indifferent. What is left then? German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer said that the true wisdom of old age lies not in depending on others, but in strengthening the pillars that provide autonomy and dignity. Today, we explore 7 essential pillars for a fulfilling and independent life after 60, based on Schopenhauer's sharp and realistic reflections. Pillar 1. The danger of the family illusion. The belief that family is the most reliable foundation for old age is one of life's greatest illusions. Arthur Schopenhauer, a thinker who is not deceived by human nature, reminds us that family ties are not always built on genuine love, but rather on social norms and imposed expectations. From childhood, we are taught that family will always be there, but this idea rarely stands up to the reality of adulthood. In youth, parents are perceived as central figures necessary to shape and protect children, but over time the dynamics change. Children grow up, build their own lives, and inevitably create distance. Love may remain, but priorities change. They have careers, spouses, and children to care for, and often elderly parents become a distant memory amidst the responsibilities of everyday life. Schopenhauer saw this reality clearly and warned us about the common mistake of expecting children to repay love and care with the same intensity with which they were raised. The truth, as painful as it may be, is that family attachments can be fragile and changeable. Some relationships stand the test of time, but many others weaken with distance and lack of common interests. Old age is a time of bitter reflection for many. Those who have trusted their entire lives that their family would provide them with companionship and support find themselves helpless, disappointed, and even resentful. But Schopenhauer teaches us an important lesson. The only way to avoid suffering is to accept reality and prepare wisely for it. If there is one thing that old age teaches, it is that no one can rely solely on others for their happiness. Many older people expect their children to look after their well-being, but this expectation is not always met. Even when there is love, there is not always availability. Children living far away, grandchildren who barely know their grandparents. Family decisions that exclude the elderly are common scenes that are repeated all over the world. This means that we must isolate ourselves or cut ties. No, but we must change our perspective on what family really is in old age. Instead of clinging to the idea that children and grandchildren will be our primary source of emotional support and companionship, we should strengthen other areas of life that guarantee independence and personal satisfaction. Practical advice. Don't pin your happiness on the return of love from your children. Many parents spend their lives investing in their children, expecting happiness, gratitude, and recompense. But Schopenhauer warns us that expecting something from others is the root of disappointment. The love you gave your children was a gift, not a contract with an obligation to return. Live for yourself, do what brings you joy, and don't tie your happiness to what others can or cannot offer. Accept that family attachments can be fickle. Not all children or grandchildren will be in your life the way you would like. This doesn't mean that the love has ended, but the priorities have changed. Instead of being resentful, accept reality wisely. Those who want to be with you will do so of their own free will, and it is with them that you must connect. Nurture friendships and connections outside the family. The mistake many older people make is to limit their social life to their family circle. Over time, this network becomes increasingly smaller. Invest in strong friendships and participate in groups and activities that provide you with a connection to others. Friends can become a true chosen family, built on shared interests and genuine respect. Schopenhauer teaches us that emotional maturity comes from accepting the world as it is, not as we would like it to be. Old age does not have to be a time of bitterness and disappointment. On the contrary, it can be a moment of liberation, provided we are willing to face the truth and build a full and independent life, regardless of the presence or absence of those we once raised. Pillar 2. The danger of expectation in human relationships. The root of almost all unhappiness is the gap between our expectations and reality. The more we expect from others, the more disappointed we become. Arthur Schopenhauer understood this better than anyone and warned us. Unhappiness comes from the gap between our expectations and reality. The less you expect from others, the less you will suffer. We create illusions about how people around us should behave. We expect recognition, gratitude, and devotion, but we do not always get what we think we deserve. And in old age, this truth can become even more painful. In youth, we are more resistant to disappointment because we have many sources of interaction: work, friends, personal projects. But in old age, many begin to limit their lives to the family circle, believing that children and grandchildren will fill all the emotional voids. The mistake is that we expect that the priority of others will still be in us. Many parents, as they reach old age, notice that they are no longer the center of their children's lives. They have their own families, careers, and concerns. This is not a lack of love, but a natural application of focus. The problem is that many older people become attached to this expectation that their children will always be there, that they will visit often, and that they will always have time for long conversations. When this does not happen, resentment, and in some cases, even final withdrawal occur. Schopenhauer teaches us that the solution to this suffering is not to demand more from others, but to expect less. The more we accept that people go their own way, the less we feel betrayed or forgotten. Instead of fighting reality, we must learn to accept it and build an emotionally independent life. Schopenhauer teaches us that the greatest emotional freedom comes from expecting less and accepting more. In old age, those who recognize and accept that human connections change over time have a much easier time living. The key to a peaceful old age is not to demand love and attention from others, but to build a life that will support itself. After all, whoever learns to be happy with himself will never be held hostage by the absence of others. Pillar 3. Solitude as an ally. Loneliness is one of the greatest fears of old age, but should we really see it as something negative? Arthur Schopenhauer believed that loneliness is not a punishment, but a blessing for those who have learned to appreciate it. He said that those who have not learned to be themselves will never achieve true peace. Old age should not be frightening with loneliness, but should be celebrated as a moment of liberation. In our youth, we are conditioned to believe that we must constantly be surrounded by people. Society teaches us that happiness lies in social connections, that we need to belong to a group, and that the approval of others is vital. However, over time, we realize that many of these interactions are superficial and tiresome. Old age can be a unique opportunity to let go of the need for external approval and finally live according to your own desires and thoughts. Schopenhauer teaches us that those who are not dependent on the opinions and presence of others are truly free. Many believe that being surrounded by people means having a full life, but the truth is that quantity does not mean quality. Old age usually brings a shrinking of the social circle. Some friends become distant, others take different paths, and inevitably, some leave us. This may seem sad at first, but it can also be liberating. Modern life forces us to participate in forced social interactions. Holidays, meetings, and obligations often serve only to maintain appearances. Over the years, we learned that silence can be more valuable than the company of empty people. Schopenhauer argued that great spirits always face loneliness, since their depth makes them incompatible with the superficiality of the majority. Those who fear loneliness often confuse being alone with being abandoned. However, there is a key difference between the two. Being alone can be a choice of the world, while abandonment occurs when happiness is placed on the shoulders of others. In old age, many experience disappointment, realizing that they are no longer the center of their children's lives, that friends are no longer as present, and that social interactions become less frequent. But rather than viewing this as a loss, Schopenhauer suggests viewing it as a moment of self-discovery and inner strengthening. If you can enjoy your own company, you will never be truly lonely. Schopenhauer said that a person's intelligence can be measured by how much they value time spent alone. Instead of seeing solitude as emptiness, see it as an opportunity for reflection, learning, and peace. Take a walk, watch a good movie, or simply enjoy a cup of coffee in silence. Inner peace comes when we stop looking for external distractions. Let go of the need for social validation. Continuously seeking acceptance and approval from others is one of the main causes of unhappiness. Old age offers a unique opportunity to free yourself from the expectations of others and live in accordance with your truth. You do not have to conform to standards or please anyone but yourself. Schopenhauer teaches us that solitude is not something to be feared, but a necessary stage for those who want to achieve true inner peace. Old age can be the most liberating moment in life if we are prepared to embrace it wisely. Those who learn to be alone will never become hostage to the impermanence of the outer world. After all, the best company you can have is the one that never leaves you yourself. Pillar 4. Wealth as a shield. Arthur Schopenhauer had no illusions about human nature. For him, money was not an end in itself, but a protective barrier against the adversities of life. He argued that money does not bring happiness, but it protects against many misfortunes. And this becomes even truer in old age. Many believe that once they reach the third age, they will naturally be surrounded by support and respect, but the reality does not always match these expectations. Financial dependence can turn an elderly person into a hostage of their relatives, depriving them of the freedom to make their own decisions. Those who hope that their children will take care of them can certainly face a harsh reality. Not all children are able or willing to take on this responsibility. Some will help out of love, but others will see the elderly person as a burden or even as a financial resource to exploit. How many stories have we heard about children who emptied their parents' accounts or manipulated them to get money? Schopenhauer warns us. Being financially dependent on others means putting your destiny in someone else's hands, and nothing could be more dangerous than that. If an older person has no autonomy over their own life, they cannot choose where to live, what they eat, or even what kind of care they receive. So true security in old age does not come from the love of others, but from the financial independence you build for yourself. Why is financial independence vital? As we age, our needs change, medical expenses increase, our ability to work decreases, and society tends to place less value on those over 60. Without their own resources, an older person becomes vulnerable to outside pressure, whether from children, relatives, or even the government. Many older people who relied solely on family help find themselves in humiliating situations, dependent on the goodwill of others, even for small needs. This undermines dignity and quality of life. Schopenhauer understood that money is above all a symbol of freedom, not only a means of exchange, but also a shield against subordination and despair. Those who have resources can decide where they want to live, what kind of medical care they want, what experiences they want to have, and above all, they can choose to say no when necessary. The mistake many older people make is to consider financial security a luxury when in fact it is a necessity, so the sooner one prepares, the more peace and freedom they will have in old age. Practical tips for protecting your financial independence plan for your retirement so that you do not depend on others. If you have not yet made a financial plan for old age, start now. Saving, investing, and organizing your finances are important measures. Even small savings accumulated over time can provide greater security. If possible, consult a specialist to evaluate private pension options, low-risk investments, and ways to ensure a stable income. Avoid lending money to relatives without guarantees. It is natural to want to help children or grandchildren in difficult times, but many older people fall into the trap of using up their savings to help loved ones who then default. Be selective. Only help if it does not undermine your own stability, and if possible, establish clear agreements to avoid emotional and financial costs. Make smart investments to live your last years with dignity. Money that sits idle loses value. Look for safe investments that will provide an income stream in old age. Rental income, dividends, conservative investments, or even small businesses can be alternative sources of money. It is important to make your resources work for you, ensuring that your last years are lived with autonomy and without financial worries. Schopenhauer teaches us that money, if managed correctly, is a powerful ally in ensuring freedom and dignity. In old age, it should not be perceived as a status symbol, but as a tool for protection against dependence and humiliation. Many people spend their lives believing that the love of their children will be enough to ensure a peaceful end to life. But few understand that true respect comes when we can provide for ourselves without having to ask permission to live. Those who prepare financially reap the rewards of autonomy, security, and peace of mind. After all, there is no greater luxury in old age than the freedom to choose your own path. Pillar 5. Vanity and the deception of beauty. Youth is admired for its appearance, but old age should be respected for its wisdom. Yet we live in a society obsessed with image, where the passage of time is perceived as a problem to be corrected. Arthur Schopenhauer, ever alert to human illusions, warns us of the danger of trying to hold on to what inevitably slips away. He said that youth is beautiful, but in old age wisdom should be our greatest virtue. The constant pursuit of youth is a mistake. Growing old should not be a burden, but a natural transition. However, many people go through old age trying to get back what has already gone, as if a wrinkle-free face can erase the traces of time. This leads to disappointment, since no cream, operation, or treatment can stop time. Accepting aging is not conformism, but a sign of intelligence and maturity. From an early age, we are bombarded with ideas that youth is the most precious period of life. The media glorifies young bodies, hair without gray, and faces without traces of time. Aging, on the contrary, is depicted as a decline, something to be feared or hidden. But Schopenhauer teaches us that this point of view is an emotional trap. The problem is not in taking care of yourself, but in the obsession with looking young at any cost. This leads many people to spend a fortune on plastic surgery, procedures and cosmetics that promise to make you look younger, when in fact they only temporarily mask the natural process. True beauty, according to Schopenhauer, lies not in the external, but in what we cultivate within ourselves throughout life. The pursuit of eternal youth not only consumes energy and resources, but can also prevent a person from enjoying the most fulfilling stage of existence, maturity, where experience and tranquility should take the place of anxiety and vanity. If we accept that each phase of life has its own beauty and purpose, then old age becomes a period of respect and fulfillment, not a struggle with the mirror. Schopenhauer teaches us that vanity is a burden that grows heavier with each passing year. Those who spend old age regretting what they have lost miss the opportunity to enjoy what they have gained: wisdom, independence, and a new perspective on life. True youth does not consist of smooth skin or hair without gray, but of curiosity, the ability to learn, and the ease of those who no longer have to prove anything to anyone. Accepting time is liberating, and the greatest beauty we can cultivate is that which never fades, the essence of our being. Pillar 6. Wisdom as true wealth. Many spend their lives accumulating possessions, status, and money. But Schopenhauer teaches us that in old age, the true treasure is not in what we have, but in what we have learned. He argued that the true wealth of old age is not money or status, but the knowledge accumulated over the years. In youth, we are driven by the need to conquer, a good job, our own home, social recognition. However, as the years pass, we realize that all material things may be lost, but what we have learned in our lives remains with us until the end. The problem is that many people reach old age and stop learning, as if knowledge is something that is limited to school years and work. This stagnation not only ages the body, but also the mind. Lifelong learning is not only an intellectual luxury, but also a necessity to maintain mental acuity and avoid boredom in old age. Many people feel empty when they retire because they no longer have daily challenges. Without new information and stimulation, the brain begins to lose its activity, which can lead to apathy, isolation, and even neurodegenerative diseases. Schopenhauer saw knowledge as the only wealth that no one can take away from us. While money can be stolen and status lost, wisdom continues to grow over time, turning old age into a period of deep reflection and appreciation of the world. Those who dedicate themselves to learning something new every day maintain a youthful spirit and an active mind, finding meaning and motivation for life, regardless of age. Schopenhauer shows us that the value of an individual is not in his appearance or in his accumulated wealth, but in what his mind is capable of understanding. Old age should not be a period of stagnation, but should be the pinnacle of understanding life. Those who continue to learn retain a youthful spirit even as their bodies age. If there is one thing we can leave to this world, it is not material wealth, but the wisdom we share. In the end, the only wealth that accompanies us to the end is the knowledge we carry. Pillar 7. Silence as strength. Over time, we learn that not every conversation is worth talking about. Not every battle needs to be fought, and not every truth needs to be spoken. Arthur Schopenhauer, with his profound insight into human nature, recognized the power of silence as one of the greatest signs of wisdom. He said, "The older we become, the more we realize the value of silence. Silence is the refuge of the wise and the terror of fools." In youth, we are taught that we must stand up for ourselves, defend our ideas, and respond to any provocation. However, as adults, we learn that words can be wasted on those who do not want to listen, and energy spent on useless arguments only drains us. Silence, far from being a sign of weakness, is a powerful tool for maintaining inner peace, avoiding unnecessary exhaustion, and maintaining control over one's own emotions. Many conflicts in old age do not arise from big events, but from the need to be right. Family disputes, misunderstandings with children and daughters-in-law, disagreements over politics or customs. How much exhaustion could have been avoided by simply choosing silence? The truth is that no one changes their mind because they are confronted in an argument. On the contrary, confrontation usually only strengthens their beliefs, making the other even more resistant to dialogue. In addition, as we age, we realize that most of the worries we had before were insignificant. Many of the words we spent trying to convince or correct others were in fact simply a way of wasting our life energy. Schopenhauer understood that observation and silence are the weapons of the wise. Those who speak less and listen more understand the world around them better and avoid unnecessary exhaustion in life. Silence does not mean submission or weakness, and a conscious choice will not allow yourself to be caught up in the chaos of the world. Practical tips for using silence to your advantage. Learn to ignore useless arguments. Not every comment requires a response. If someone disagrees with you on a minor issue or tries to provoke you, choose not to respond. Many arguments are simply ego games with no real purpose. Practice observation more than speech. Schopenhauer believed that he who speaks less understands more. Listening attentively to the people around you can reveal much more about them than any answer you can give. Sometimes the simple act of observing and reflecting is enough to understand and avoid exhaustion. Cultivate space for peace and reflection. Outer silence also leads to inner silence. Creating moments of calm in your daily life, whether it's reading, taking a walk, or simply enjoying the sound of the wind, helps maintain a calm and clear mind. A calm environment also protects us from the negativity of others. Schopenhauer teaches us that in a world where everyone wants to talk, those who choose silence become the true masters of wisdom. Old age should not be perceived as the end, but as the pinnacle of wisdom. It is during this period that we finally understand what is truly important. It is not property, not appearance, not the approval of others. The true value of life lies in autonomy, knowledge, and inner peace. Schopenhauer teaches us that those who know how to live for themselves never fear loneliness. Those who ensure their financial independence never fear abandonment. And those who understand that expectations from others are the root of suffering find the freedom to live easier. Now I ask you, which of these pillars do you consider the most important for a dignified old age? Leave your comment, because your opinion is valuable. If you found this content helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more life reflections. See you in the next video. Take care. See you soon.